Education, Laurie Kilmartin.
Go for it, Laurie.
Oh man, I like it when you start.
I'm covered in a rash.
That is awful. Tell me how did this happen?
I don't know. So I am in Eureka, California, working at the Savage Henry Comedy Club, which is great.
Mhm.
One show a night, and they're building it slowly. But they have a condo. I'm staying in a condo. I showed Kyle before you got here that the amenities, essentially just 5 bongs and a little bag of weed, and then a couple of CBD beers and a couple of beers, and then there's a bottle of vodka in the freezer. So they're like, just in case. And I was like,
the
"Do you guys have any Diet Coke? Do you guys have any Diet Coke?" They do not. And so I flew up here on a Velo. It was delayed.
Okay.
And then I got in, but I came in the night before because a Velo is one of those Spirit kind of airlines, right? It's like a boutique.
Yes.
And they wanted to make sure I got here. So I get here, we come in. This Airbnb, which is where they're putting me up.
Yeah.
The TV doesn't work. The outlets, they're redoing the electricity, so half of the outlets don't work. And so I found at a flea market, I found a Chromecast, and I tried to hook it up to the TV yesterday.
Yeah.
And I now have a travel Chromecast because the TV would not hook up to the wireless, even though it is a smart TV. It's too bad, really. But I've been watching a lot of TV on my laptop, like the kids do.
Yeah. Sure.
And so I fly in Thursday. Friday midday, I start having a little rash on my face, and I'm like, oh, it must be from the masks.
Right.
And I think it's acne from the masks. Friday comes around, and that's what happens. By Friday night, it's kind of on my arms. On Saturday, it's all over my torso.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Yeah. And then so I go to urgent care, and they're like, here's what they know. I was terrified that it was bed bugs, is what I was scared, Airbnb, but it was not. It is not bed bugs. It is not poison ivy. It is not poison oak. It is not shingles. It is not, it isn't any number of things that are horrible, right? It's not.
You would have had to set yourself on fire if it was bed bugs. That's what's awful.
Yeah. You gotta start over with your luggage and everything.
Yeah.
So that's the good news. Wasn't ticks. It wasn't so they thought I ate a funny whelk. They thought I ate something weird.
What's a whelk?
And maybe a whelk is a fish, and it's a reference to Harry Potter, which I knew. Thank you for asking. Anyway, so
I could tell you wanted to explain it. And since you're ill, I said, you know what? I'll just throw this one to her. Let her catch it.
Exactly. And then so I go to the urgent care. The urgent care was perfectly nice people. They gave me they thought it was a allergic reaction to food. So they gave me prednisone, told me to get some Benadryl for the night and cream for the itching. And so I did all that. And they said, by tomorrow, it should fade. And if it doesn't, come back in. So Saturday, it had spread to my hands and all over my legs. And yep.
Oh, so are you just itching constantly?
Yeah, except for I have the cortisone cream. So I'm putting it on. And a lot of input. So yesterday, it's everywhere.
You're on the road. This is awful to happen on the road. Awful.
Right. And there's no Kaiser. Remember the last time I had to go to Kaiser in Northern California? I fell down a flight of stairs.
Oh, that's right. But at least you're in a major city in Oakland or Alameda or wherever. This is truly boonies.
Super boondocks. Yeah. And so they're like, we don't know what. So I go back to urgent care. They're like, we don't know what this is. You need blood work. You got to go to the ER.
Oh my God.
They said, worst case scenario, it's measles. And I was like, well, I've been vaccinated. And she said, that's why it's not that bad. But she's like, I don't even think it's measles. I don't even know what it is, but you need blood work to find out. So I go into the ER, and then I Google, how do you treat measles? There's no treatment for measles. It's drink a lot of water and cortisone cream and Benadryl at night so you can sleep. And I was like, well, I'm not going to stay here for 5 hours. And then, you know how you call people when you want a certain answer?
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't call Andy or Maria Bamford to ask them if they thought I should cancel the show last night. I called you, and you're like, well, just wear gloves. What, do you remember saying that? Was that you?
No. What?
Oh,
What are you
I
talking
wonder who
about?
I called who told me to just wear gloves.
It wasn't
Whatever. So
me. And
okay.
that advice, I mean, it's great advice, actually.
Well, and it's fine. I wore gloves and a mask, and
But
then
here's the real problem is you're so delirious, you don't know who you called yesterday.
no, I'm not delirious. But then yeah, and then I had the feature sell my merch for me. So I still sold merch.
Never stop selling. You are Elliot's daughter.
Had to be done. Had to be done. So I did my time. I got off stage. They had a midnight show that was like walk up. That they were like, well, it's fun, and I'm like, no, it's 11:30. I'm covered in bees. I got to go home. And so I came home and I
could people see, like, if I don't see it on your hands, was it on your hands yesterday?
Yeah, I wore gloves. 2x2 hands of blue, you guys, which is a firefly reference.
So yeah.
And, but yeah,
you wore gloves on stage, and did you tell people why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I said I have some sort of crazy ass rash, and but it's, I don't know. Yeah, like it's fucking
Jackie,
everywhere.
I see it. I don't need.
That's enough. You don't need to see it anymore. You're fine. You're doing great. I know I sent off slightly too many pictures to people, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. So, but I needed, you know what, when you want sympathy, but what you're going to get is, are you sure it isn't bed bugs? Are you sure it isn't shingles? Are you sure it isn't poison oak? And you're like, yeah, I've had this conversation. I just needed you to go, oh, I'm so sorry you itch.
I think I didn't ask you, right? Except for maybe a food allergy after you said, because I said that to me, because I've done that to my friend Cheryl, and she was like, I fucking thought of everything already. So suggesting things.
Oh my God. Thank you, Cheryl, for taking the bullet. Good for her. How was the punchline? Looked amazing. San Francisco punchline looks super fun.
It was so great. It was
That's
so
awesome.
fun. Worked with Tony Kameen.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
One of my oldest friends in comedy. I mean, not he himself, but the fact that we started like almost exactly at the same time, we're both still doing it.
And he lives up there?
No, he lives in Los Angeles. Right,
because I think he also uses William for Fix It stuff.
Yeah, well, he turned me on to William. Yeah.
Oh, he's the guy who knows William. Okay.
Yeah. And the MC Brooke, will have her be comic of the week later on down the line, because we've got someone loaded up. But Brooke Heineken was hilarious. She was great. Really,
oh my God,
really fun show. And then there were somebody who had come to my album taping sitting in the front row on Wednesday and was like, thank God I had enough material where he wasn't singing along.
But, right.
There were a couple bits where he was like, I could see him get all excited, like, oh, I know this one.
Sit in the back. I love you. I thank you so much for coming to the show, but please don't sit in the front row.
We had some guest sets, and I'm just saying, this is a general suggestion to all guest sets.
Whitewash, yep.
It's not anyone in particular, although one in particular inspired it, but I'm like, this happened before. This is why I'm making this general announcement. If you're a newer comic doing 5 to 7 minutes on a show at a club for a booker, don't do crowd work. Okay.
Right.
You are there to show off your jokes. You're there to do what would be your Tonight Show 5 minutes. Okay. You're not there to open up the audience. So, you may not even have the skill to control, the genie that you let out of the bottle. And then the rest of the comics have to deal with this person.
And was anyone there to watch? Was Molly there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But anyway, it was just like,
as a suggestion.
When
you ask for a guest set,
mm-hmm.
Feel free to know the headliner. Don't just go, hey, I'm a fan of yours. I also do stand-up comedy. That's what you say to bookers. You don't say that to other comics. You say, this is how I want a guest set, and I'm in a town and I don't know the headliner.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't ask. Second of all, unless but if I
Unless you know somebody on the show, maybe, or a friend.
If I know somebody on the show, maybe, right?
Right.
I might. I mean, it's really hard to ask for a guest set on a show where you don't know anybody.
Well, it's not. Many people did.
Oh, right. I think it should be harder emotionally for you to ask. But you should, if you're going to ask, and if you do know, like if you do have a passing, we have met in passing.
Yeah.
Ask, but just go, hey, I understand if the show is tight, you're not going to get a guest set for show Friday or Saturday. The show's too tight.
Right.
And the people that everybody booked, that the club booked, those people deserve that time, right? I don't want to cut. I don't want to cut from the MCs 10 to 15. I don't want to cut from the features 20 to 30. And I don't want to give you any of my time. So, but second show, you could usually do a 5 to 7, or a Thursday, Wednesday kind of situation, or a Sunday, right? If it depends how long the week is.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there shouldn't be, you should just take whatever set they offer. And if you can't do it, just say, oh shit, I'm so, I actually have to work that night, day job, or whatever, right? Or I've got my family thing, and just, and don't say, well, what about this other date? What about this other date? You're like,
I don't book guest sets. I just want to show up and not irritate the booker with 200 requests.
Right. So I had a couple in the front row last night, and one of the women was she kept, when I would do some of the older stuff, because I don't have 45 new. Yeah. I've got like 20 new.
Right.
And but the woman who knew my set would hit her friend and go, oh, this one. And I was like,
you guys gotta stop it. There's one joke I did on Corden that just got clipped and passed around, and I see people get excited when I start it, and
which is neat.
I'm hoping I still would like to tell it on my slow pacing, but I also got to worry that you're going to mouth the punchline because you're so excited.
It's what do you think about this technique? Maybe if we see that, we just tell the joke to the sky. Just go, okay. And then this happened.
The rest of the audience will be perplexed.
It's right. It's true.
But the shows were fun. We stayed at a different hotel because I guess the one we normally stay at, there was like, I hate it when there's like problems with a hotel. Like, when like hotel management changes and all of a sudden the thing you're used to at the club is like different.
Change. I hate change.
Guaranteed business every single weekend with this comedy club. Why would you fuck that up? Whatever. Okay. So we stayed at this other place that was near Union Square. They're like, Union Square is this way, and the Tenderloin. You know about the Tenderloin, right? I'm like, okay. So it was close to seediness, but it's weird. Not to glamorize seediness, but it but do you sometimes, in some ways, cities are starting to look like how they used to look before everything became a Chase Bank. And it's like, oh, I mean, that's parts of, but I don't know. Like a lot of shit is closed. Here's the thing with the punchline right now. It's in the financial district, right? It's on top of the Embarcadero, a building in the Embarcadero. So a lot of the businesses down there are still closed. People aren't coming into work. And so they're not getting their usual crowd in. It's a tough location sometimes,
Yeah.
But when you're staying down there, it's fucking nothing's open on the weekend.
Right. You'd like
closed.
to. Yeah. Every coffee shop in this town closes at 5 p.m.
Oh, at that one?
I
guess so. Wow.
And there's only one thing that's 24 hours again, and it's the truck stop that's on the 101 about 12 miles from here. And so it was, but I will say this, the feature, who will be our comic of the week, she and her boyfriend, well, fiance, who was also a comic here in town, they have been incredibly, they took me around and they were like, I know you have a rash and you probably don't want to go anywhere or do anything, but we can at least take you to breakfast. We can at least, do
Oh, that's
this or
nice.
that. And I was like, you are very nice. I love it. So, yeah, so
Yeah,
they have good diners here is what I'm saying.
that's cool. I had, a hotel had robes.
Oh, nice.
So you know what I did? I put my robe on very early during the day. But I did some walking. Also, here's like last week in New York, right? I'm like, oh, my knee feels better. I wonder if I could run. So I did 1 mile on the treadmill at the slowest possible pace that no other human would even call it a run. And my knee has been in fucking pain
Twitchy.
ever since.
Oh, what a
I
drag.
didn't even do like a ton of walking around San Francisco, which is like the greatest thing to do. I just would stay inside and ice my knee and just try to be rested for the shows.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I wish, like a good city, the week should start on Tuesday, flying in
Yeah.
on Monday night. You have 3 days where you're just doing one show, so it doesn't feel like you have to rest.
No pressure. No pressure.
Just enjoy
By the time
city.
Friday, you're warmed up, you're murdering. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you take your Friday and Saturday and you rest those days. You don't do a lot of stuff. You just
Mhm.
contain your energy so you can explode on stage. You
Yep.
have 2 shows. And then maybe there's a Sunday show where you again get to,
Unwind.
do one
Yeah.
little more tour around the city, go to your favorite diner again, and then
Mhm.
have a fuck off show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a delight. It's yeah, I was psyched to come up here. It was good. It paid better than I remember what I asked. I asked and then I forgot what the decision was. And then he
Yeah.
gave me the check and I was like, oh right, I asked. And he paid me right. So he's really good. And he was so like, I am so sorry about the TV. I'm so sorry. He sent one of the younger comics over with an extension cord so I could plug in stuff, and a surge protector thing with USB ports as well, like a stick.
Just show you what I wrote. Wait, can you read it? It said travel extension cord. I was going to bring that up. Just travel with an extension cord.
Yeah. I actually am thinking about if I'm going to travel with, because I have all kinds of things now that I'm traveling with. I have a thermometer. I have a flashlight. I have
Wait, you have your iPhone. You don't need a flashlight. You got your iPhone.
Right. I could just go, hey Siri, Lumos.
Oh, really? Oh my God, that worked. That's crazy.
It did work. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
So I have to turn that off. You can't for some reason saying Knox doesn't work as good as Lumos. I don't know why.
It's a Lumos Harry Potter reference again.
Yeah, it's Harry Potter. It's the light spell, and Knox is turn off the light.
Oh, I see.
And but for some reason Lumos works and Knox does not. I don't know why. It's a great story. Anyway, so
Harry Potter as well.
I did a bunch of I'm working on all my new stuff. The new stuff that was working last week, not working as well. But that's a good sign. That's actually it's annoying, but it's a sign that there's something there, but I have to keep, it means that it might be a great chunks, because sometimes you know how like some of the best bits, you're like, oh my God, I'm the greatest in the world. And then 4 shows later, you're like, oh, they're staring. They're just staring. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, but I think it's got chops. I think it's got, I think there's potential.
I think I figured out a new set order,
wow.
For the long, since I started going back out again, I guess like at Creek and Cave back in, November or something. I was like, what's now that I've gotten rid of 80% of its material and hopefully soon 90 and 100, what do I open with? What do I close with? And I haven't been able to figure it out. And then the closing bit became evident in San Francisco.
Oh, good.
Because I closed on it too early, and then I had to follow it with 2 things. Oh shit. So now I'm just opening with something I was trying to close with, like in Madison, and it felt kind of wasn't tight enough. And now I'm like, oh, this is a fine little opener.
Yep.
And anyway, it felt like, okay, so I have my beginnings and ends and starting.
That's huge.
Yes. And so now I can kind of start to fill it in a little bit better. It doesn't feel like so sloppy. And
Yep. Yeah,
just
it
the
tidies it up.
Yeah.
It tidies it up so much. I have a new opener. I do not have a new closer, so I'm still closing on the thing I closed on the album with, and it's fine. But for the people who know the album, they're like, oh
Yeah. I mean, the thing I'm closing on is 2 years old now. You know, it's not from the album, but it's old. But I was like, oh, the way this is building in front of like a real audience, this is a closing thing.
yeah, and nobody's ever heard it, right? It's not on a record.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, and I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if I could close with a different album's closer. And then I was like, I can't even remember a different album's closer.
Yeah.
Like whenever I try to do some of the old bits that were kind of signature bits off the other albums, I have a hard time remembering the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I'm just always writing. Hey, you know what what happened right after last week's episode?
The slap.
The Oscars. Yeah. And I was so, okay, so this town is so small. How small is it? There's one Uber driver. His name is Ken. And he wasn't working the first 2 days I was here.
Yeah.
So I walked to the Walmart, which is about 1.5 miles from here, on the Friday. And then I called Ken, or I ordered an Uber. The first night I tried to get an Uber, 90 minutes. They kept going, no one's working. No one's working. Try again in a couple of minutes. Yeah. So like, and I tried Lyft, and Lyft was like, don't even. So, but the thing is so the Friday day I walked to Walmart, and I call the Uber, and he's 20 minutes away, then he's 10 minutes away, then he's 12 minutes away, and a cab pulls up and drops some people off. And so I cancel the Uber, and I'm like, will you drive me? And she drives me. And but I had been alone so long, I told her I was a comic. And she wanted to discuss the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing.
Sure.
And the thing is there's no defense. There's no hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I've hit anyone, I've always been wrong. There is no hitting, and de-escalate. That's the whole thing. But what I found fascinating, and I just want to say this before we continue, is that Will Smith is such a huge star that he literally, I genuinely believe this, did not even think that he was being watched by billions of people. That he literally felt like he was in his living room and someone was saying something that was rude.
Yeah.
And so he walked up and slapped the guy and then yelled at Chris Rock, not out of your mouth, not her name. Anyway. And 10 minutes later, he was proved that he was in his living room by them giving him an Oscar.
And letting him just sit back down, and no one,
nothing.
I mean, in a comedy club, that person would not be allowed to sit back down in the front.
Right. And Will Smith used to do stand-up. And
no, I don't think
he did.
So.
No, did not.
He did.
No.
To my knowledge, when he was doing hip hop, he was also doing stand-up. Was he not?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think the phrase doing hip hop is also
a real term.
Knowledge. Yeah, but that's okay.
I was born 100 years old. Anyway, KRS-One did hip hop.
He did.
Anyway, so
excellent save.
Cool reference.
Yes.
Anyway, so but and then here's the other half of the thing that I found fascinating, while also completely acknowledging no hitting, right? Completely acknowledging, please don't do that again, and apologize and get your shit together and know that you were wrong, and which I believe Will Smith did. But Chris Rock took the hit, and my theory on that is because he knew, Sully McCullough did not write that joke, right? Sklar didn't write that joke. That was a riff.
Yeah, that was a riff. Yeah.
Okay, so he took that hit, and I believe he took that hit because he knew how hacky it was. G.I. Jane came out in 1992.
He was like, you know what? You got a point.
You got a point. I should have at least referenced Black Panther and Okoye and the Dora Milaje, who are all shaved heads as well.
Yeah.
And but G.I. Jane, anyway.
I know. Jackie,
Nice.
I think Will Smith became famous at a very young age,
Yeah.
and I will always state that becoming famous is really terrible for you, for on every level except financially, right?
Right.
It's not good for you, and the younger it happens to you, the worse it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's just it
He
just
wrote,
soils
you wrote,
your
you
ability to
remain a
get
young
connected.
man.
Pardon me?
Yeah. You remain a young person.
It
Yeah.
ruins you, you know,
Yeah.
across the board. I don't know anyone who got famous at a young age that is, you know, normal.
Yeah.
What we would call a normal person.
Yeah.
You know, they're not all addicts, they're not all, you know, dead or anything, but that's all. It is
Scientologists.
also just not normal. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. There's so many takes. I don't even know how to. And the other thing there was also like a lot of Black comedy writers and Black comedians were talking about other stuff, the dynamics of this happening in front in the Oscars, right? A place that would be considered a white place, right? In fact, up until recently, it was hard to even get a Black actor nominated for anything. So
Right.
all the
Right.
stuff where it was like, oh, you know what? Whatever I think, I don't have to. I'll just sit on that. Like I don't need to tumble into this space. And so I thank Twitter for teaching me that sometimes I don't have to weigh in. Actually,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's other nuances I'm not privy to because I can't see it. You know.
Right. I didn't weigh in at all about sort of from Black Twitter. Black Twitter is arguing about whether it was justified or not, as far as I could tell.
There's some of that.
Yeah, there was some of that, and there was some of, you know, this and that. My entire take is always going to be no hitting, even when I do it. Right.
Mhm.
Like it isn't okay. I was hit a lot as a small child. I know better.
Right,
no one's
right.
excited. No one's excited to be hit at any time. And after you've hit somebody, if you're an adult, you feel bad.
Yeah.
You're like that. I feel bad if I've said something super rude.
Yeah.
And I haven't paused. And, you know, and that's the other thing with stand-up comedy. If you've been doing stand-up comedy for 40 odd years, which is Chris Rock,
Mhm.
you know how to not say
like,
shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. 35 years, whatever.
Like
yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, I thought it was fascinating, but I did not think it was justified at all.
No, not at all.
Either case. Yeah.
Yes. Did you happen to watch Gerard Carmichael's special on your iPad?
No, I
know
can
you're
tell
not
you
a
what I
special
watched,
watcher.
but later. I'm not a special watcher. Was Gerard's iPad special amazing? He
Yeah.
is amazing. I love watching him
He
live for a
is.
million years. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so
Is
slow.
it Netflix?
And no, it's on HBO, but it
Okay.
looked like, I know he wasn't thinking about this shit the first time, but he makes it look like he's just going through these thoughts for the first time ever, you know?
Wow.
And it's not, you know, stand up, you know,
Because it's a slower pace.
super slow, very confessional.
Yeah.
But it's really worth watching.
Is it
really-
beautiful and really funny?
Yes, and Bo Burnham's. I'm over my jealousy of Bo Burnham's career. Okay, he is very talented, and this thing looks beautiful.
Mhm.
And Gerard Carmichael is like super vulnerable, but incredible, but very strong at the same time, and obviously in control of it the whole time.
Yeah.
He's not someone you feel like's going to break down into tears that you can't control, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really, really, really interesting and really good.
That's neat.
And really,
I might watch that just because it sounds gorgeous. Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, so he came out in the special.
as a gay person?
Yes. And
Okay.
then he hosted SNL last night and he just looked stunning. Like
he was like own it.
Yeah, he owned it. And it was cool. Yeah, his monologues really, I haven't watched all the sketches. I watched some of them, you know, but his monologues was really great.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Because I've been sick. That's right. I am not a good sick person. I'm a baby. I bring it up.
Mhm.
So I watched both seasons of Bridgerton on my laptop.
Oh, okay.
I just binge watched them again, and I had just finished the second season. And then I
again,
watched,
okay.
and then I finished. There's on Amazon Prime. There's a British procedural called Chelsea,
Yeah.
the Chelsea District, I think, or Chelsea something.
Oh, really?
Chelsea Detective. That.
Yeah.
And it's with God, who is that actor? He looks like Hannes Finney. Anyway, what is the name of
Well,
that
I saw
actor?
David Tennant was trending. Is it that guy?
No.
Okay. He's my go-to British guy if you can't remember someone's name.
Adrian Scarborough.
I don't know.
Yeah, he sounds familiar, but that's because he has a fancy British name like Scarborough.
Mhm.
So it could just be that. I don't know that I've seen him in anything else. He also kind of looks like I'm wrong because I have that face thing. And if anybody I say is going to be like, no, he doesn't. And I'm like, it's fine. He looks like himself. He looks like Adrian.
Do you wait? So you have you been diagnosed this, or because I think it's okay.
Oh,
to
right.
People have been wearing masks, and I don't know who any of you are anymore. You know?
Okay. Yeah. No, I've not been diagnosed with anything. I also assume that I have. I want to do a bit about that. Absolutely no one wants to hear this bit. It's going to take me 3 years, much like the they them bit, the
Mhm.
gender sexuality one.
Mhm.
But I want to do a bit about the word neurodivergent.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, you will be you be the most of the 3 years will be
Pew, 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 pew.
walking through a minefield and not getting blown up as you head towards your conclusion.
Right. And it is, it feels very much like PTSD used to just be called having a bad war.
Yeah, right.
And then the words, remember Carlin's bit about how the words just kept getting longer?
No, I don't remember that bit.
It's an old, I don't know that many Carlin bits.
Okay.
Oh,
Good bit.
I do want to tell you about something I did, but I'll tell you after the break. Let's do a break.
Okay.
And then let us do Comic of the Week,
Okay.
which is the woman who has been the nicest person on the planet to me this weekend. She's featuring for me. She's super funny. She's got so much great family stuff. And her name is Jessica Grant, and her Twitter handle is JE55. So it kind of looks like Jessica. ICA number one. The word number and then the number one. So it'll be in the.
Is she local? She's from
Yeah, she grew up in Eureka.
Oh, wow.
As she's been driving me around Eureka, California.
Yeah.
Every third story is a different job. She's probably 30 years old.
Oh my God.
And I was like, how many jobs you've like, she worked with the developmentally disabled, she worked at the library, she worked in retail, she worked at in food service, she worked in this, she worked in that. And I was like, what else? And it just keeps, and I was like, I would love to hear a bit about that. But Jessica Grant, very funny. Jessica number one on IG, on Instagram. And it's just the word Jessica, the word number, and the number one. So those will both be in the notes and stuff. But she's great. And you guys, she's just starting to work the road. She just drove up and did a bunch of stuff in Oregon.
Cool. That's what is exciting about the future of comedy is all these really funny newer comics,
Right. It's a golden age, man. Again and again. Yeah. It's outstanding. Okay. So I did Ngaio Beelam's new podcast.
Was Ngaio up there with you?
No, he's over there, right? He's in the Bay Area somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you were in Humboldt and Ngaio is actually a cannabis.
He's made of marijuana. Yeah, he's made of marijuana. He did a dork forest once, and he said that his dorkdom was weed and sex. And I said, that's everyone's dorkdom. And then he opened his trunk. He opened his trunk, and I was like, I stand corrected. He had like 40 different versions. He like literally is like a tea guy. Like it's tea. It's like old timey snuff. Like he like has like a collection of weed. He's like, what do you need? What do you need? But that was his story
with him because
you should.
I had a couple days where I'm just a lot of anxiety. Well, just worried about the future, worried about everything, as we all have our worries. I don't know.
Yeah, and so we did his new podcast, and on his new podcast, during the course, we just talked about everything, including stand up. And at one
Yeah.
point, I guess he's opening for Emo Phillips a bit on the road.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and I told him my favorite Emo Phillips joke, which I have told you. It's the one about watching stand up comedy live.
Yeah.
And then he told me his favorite Emo Phillips joke, which is about screaming children. And they're both so very, very dark. And
Yeah.
so, like, and the thing about emo is that all of his material isn't that dark.
Yeah.
But when that guy writes a dark joke, that it is spelunking time. It is like there is no light. It
Mhm.
is that I texted you the joke. It was easily one of the funniest jokes. I don't know that he could do it again because it was sort of a mass shooting kind of joke that was so darkly funny that you were like, holy shit.
Sure. You have to time your mass shooting jokes between mass shootings, and that's getting tougher and tougher to do. We just had one in Sacramento, so you got to hold up on it for another week.
Yes, please.
Okay.
None of that right now. Yeah.
I will say that there's, Cobb's is the giant room in San Francisco.
Yep.
Punchline's a lot smaller, and
Mm.
there are a lot of male comics that are podcasters that grew huge audiences during the pandemic. How they're filling Cobb's. It's like, wow, fuck, man.
What were you looking at their calendar?
Yeah.
And just who was there? I'm curious.
Well, Dan Soder was there the week I was there. And
Okay.
He's also on TV. He's on Billions. But
Okay.
Big J and just like a lot of,
Yeah.
the podcast that they're doing are bringing in giant, like 400, maybe not 400 people every time. It seats 400, but enough where you would prefer to work Cobb's than the Punchline because you can make more money.
You can make a lot more money, but I will say this: the Punchline's a better room for
oh
stand-up.
my God, yeah, for sure. I would
It's just a 220,
magical.
right? It's magical. It is. Oh my gosh, I got a text. Okay, so April Fool's Day was also this last week. I blessedly missed all of the April Fool's jokes, except I didn't. I fell for one.
Yeah.
Acme Comedy Company. I don't know if you went to their Instagram post on April 1st. Brandon posted the fucking funniest thing. It was tomorrow night, Sunday. There's going to be a one-time limited show. Louis Lee is going to tell his life story. And I literally thought that he might do it because it was the 35th anniversary of Acme, right?
Oh.
And so Louis, last night I get a text from Louis. Hey, ask Brandon for a 3-minute for a link to this show. And I was like, what's up? Who left? Because every time a long-term staff member leaves Acme, they get to do 3 minutes of stand-up in front of the rest of the staff.
Oh, wow.
Like waitresses, managers, cooks, bartenders.
And they get to roast Louis and everybody.
They get to roast Louis and talk about what a shit show it was or what it wasn't, and all fun, right?
Cool.
And so I was like, oh my God, who's leaving? Tell me it isn't Brandon. Tell me it isn't Marcos or Luis. And he goes, tell me it isn't you. And he goes, oh, call Brandon. And so I call Brandon, and Brandon is like, Louis is so taken so bad. He got the April Fool's. Sean Patton was going to fly in for it. Like everybody fell for it.
Wait, I don't understand
fell for this supposed show where Louis was going to tell his life story.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Brandon just created a link.
Oh, okay.
But the link, and comics don't check links. We don't go to the link. We call Louis. We text Brandon. That's
you. Yes.
Well, no, because the link went to a Rickroll.
Oh.
But like Louis got like 30 calls from comics saying, "Are you really doing this? I'll come. I'm so sorry. What's happening?" And so as April Fool's jokes go, and those guys like to really bust each other's chops a bunch.
Yeah.
I hate them myself. I don't want to
hate it.
Yeah. But I thought it was great.
Yeah, cool. I had Sean Patton purchased a round trip ticket to Minneapolis.
Would have been less funny.
Yes. I guess what I brought up the podcasting thing is like that didn't happen for us.
Right. But much like the priest who complains to the congregation that not enough people are coming to church,
Yeah.
we would like to say thank you very much for listening to the show, everybody.
Yeah, and the people that
is
do
here.
come out, I mean, we always have people that come out to all of our
We all-
shows to listen to
Yep,
the podcast.
yep.
So that's great.
And the
Yeah.
Patreon is great. And you know, remember the Patreon it could be $1 a month. It could be $12 a year.
Mhm.
And that is good. You know, and if you have
Right.
$5 a month, that's
We
great
should-
too.
We're not supposed to mention the Patreon, you know?
We aren't not supposed to mention it. We're just not supposed to promote it as much as we promote Max Fun.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Because the money for the Patreon literally pays Kyle.
Yeah.
And Kyle currently makes as much as each of us make on
Yeah,
this
I didn't know
podcast.
that.
And-
Cool.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, it is cool.
And so the Max Fun Drive is coming up. And the cool thing about the Max Fun Drive is that there's an extra episode. So if you give $12 a year to the Patreon,
Mhm.
you could give $5 or $10 a month to Max Fun, and it
Mhm.
would still be less than $140.
Yeah.
And if you give $10 a month, you get whatever trinket they're giving away. Like the last couple of years, it was pins. This year,
Yeah.
I think it's a patch, and you get an extra episode. And so the Patreon and Max Fun, for both of them, we've done Zoom
We do
shows
little
that
things,
are
yes.
that are aimed at each of the different
Yes.
ones.
Yeah.
So, but yes, it would be great if we had 100,000 listeners and you
Yeah.
all got us to play Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. But I get it, you know. Everybody's cool.
I was just like, wow, that's I don't know how to make that happen.
Mhm.
And
We'll get there.
but it's happenable. It happens for some people,
Yeah.
but it's not here. But I still, you know, I still like our podcast. I still like doing it a lot, you know.
Good. Oh, I'm
I
glad.
didn't check in with
Right.
you. Oh my God, every week. How can I even prove I'm alive if I don't tell you about my comedy?
If we have to, we'll call it the Reluctant Friendship if we ever have to change the name. My head is very, very round. I'm wearing this hoodie and
Yeah.
it feels super round.
Are you
Whatever.
taking an Avello flight home?
I am. I've checked on it already to make sure it's here, because if I don't, if it gets pushed at all, it's tomorrow, because it leaves here at 7:30 p.m., which means that it will land at Burbank exactly when they're done accepting flights, which is right before 10. Because they stop, you can't land after 10.
Oh my God.
And so I called Avello this just sort of noonish and just said, do you know where the flight's coming from? And the guy goes, I don't. And I was like, you guys only go to 6 different cities. Can you find out? He was like, I can find out. One moment, please.
You didn't
So-
say which flight. Who are you?
And the crazy thing is every time you talk to somebody from Avello,
Mhm.
and I have talked to many people in the last 3 days, is they're like, hi, are you going to yell at me? And I know, I feel really bad for them. And because they do it like Spirit, right? You have to pay for carry-on, you have to pay for checked luggage, you have to pay for a seat, and they delay flights, and flights get delayed because they only have like a half a dozen planes. And but the thing is, so the flight up here was, you know, he bought the flight, it was probably $120 round
Yeah.
trip, and then it was another $120 for 2 check bags and 2 seats.
Yeah.
So, you know, $240, that's not bad. That's what it usually costs.
That's not
And
terrible.
yeah, and I told him this is what I usually get paid a weekend, and he covered it.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's a fair wage, and he's doing good. He's doing the comics I talked to, they were like, he's really good if things aren't going well. And now that things are going well, he's like, I don't know how to do this. And I was like, oh, he's perfect for stand-up comedy. This is going to be amazing.
Well, and just 2 shows, right?
Yeah, just 2 shows. And as he gets bigger, I'm sure he'll add shows.
Did you
Ron-
sell a lot of merch?
I sold a fair amount of merch. Yeah, I sold, some guy wanted 23 challenge coins to give away to his entire staff, but I only brought 10
Wow.
because there were only 2
Ooh,
shows. And so
right.
he bought 1 and he's going to buy the rest online.
Jesus Christ. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
That my dad called it too. He said, people will want to give them to their staff. And I was like, that's not going to happen. And if this happens, this will be the second time it happened. Somebody else bought 50 of them.
I know. It's
That was
insane.
nuts. That was nuts. Hey, where are we at, Kyle?
We are at 44. So let's
Really? Another 16
I
minutes.
listened to this, there's this podcast called Screaming into the Hollywood Abyss, and it's
That's a great name.
screenwriter. It's like a writer's podcast, like Hollywood TV screenwriting. And it's like, it's tough to get a writing job right now.
Okay.
There's not as many TV shows, and for people that are doing scripted, they're like mini seasons. So even if you work on a show for like the whole season, it'll be 10 weeks. It just isn't enough to get health care, or it's the woman who was on it was just saying writers are so ashamed of being unemployed. They don't mention it and stuff, but it's like it might just end up being lots of part-time jobs, and then you're just doing Uber in between. Oh, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
there's not
That's-
there's not a lot of late night jobs, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of great writers, great potential, great new writers that haven't got jobs yet, and great writers that are unemployed. I mean, you've got I don't know, of the 11 Conan writers, 9 of us are on the loose, ready to
Oh,
work
right.
if we're hired.
Did it has anyone gotten work?
Skylar Higley is writing for Onion,
Okay.
and then Brian Kiley is writing for Ellen.
Okay.
Although that's going to end pretty soon, because Ellen is ending at the end of this
Oh.
month, actually.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right. Wow. Yeah, well, do you want
Do I want to what?
another writing job?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but it's also like I might not get one. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pitching a show with this guy, and we're gonna pitch it and see what happens. And if that doesn't happen, I have another idea in the background that I could put my attention on, and then keep on doing stand up, and maybe I'll sign up for Cameo, and maybe I'll figure out some merch, and I don't know.
You'll start grinding it out, but you will make do. Things will happen.
Mhm.
And but it would be nice to get another writing job, because then you could be home more.
Yes.
And yeah.
I don't like being away from my kid. It
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah.
Even though he's 15, he's supposed to be an asshole by now, but he's not. He's actually pretty awesome, and
Yeah.
he misses
What
me, and I miss him.
yeah. And what where are you going out again this week?
I am next week. I am going to Toronto. I think it's the 9th through the 29th.
I think you're home for a week and a half. Yeah, I think the 9th through the 29th.
Yeah, it's like 11 days of shows, and then we have 2 fly days, flying out there.
Oh, shit.
And flying out back a day after, of course. But yeah, so I'll be in Toronto the whole time with this JFL tour with a couple other comics. So that'll be fun. It's like 20-minute sets and in theaters and stuff.
Who are the other comics? Do you remember?
No, Josh.
Okay.
Wait, Josh Johnson, I think, and he writes for The Daily Show. And then the
Okay.
other 2, I maybe haven't met yet, or I don't know.
Well, that should be
but,
fun. Yeah.
it'll be kind of fun. Be like old school, little road tour with comics and stuff. You get to know people. Oh, and then I have I'm doing my May 7th Rush Ticks show. And I haven't been promoting it because I wanted to promote the Punchline, but now like Rush Ticks is like, you better start selling some fucking tickets. So if you guys are not going to be going out to live shows, and
right, or somewhere where you're not coming.
That's right. Come to the Rush Ticks show on May 7th. It'll be a full headlining set, and it should be pretty fun. I mean, it's not the same as a live show. But what can you do? And if you're not going to go out, if you're immunocompromised, or you just don't want to be out right now, understandable. We are another comic friend of ours has COVID, and she's highly vaxxed, and so it's out there, and it's
who.
Oh, I put it on the Well, she said
was it on the list?
She said it on
on the internet. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow! I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Jessica Grant, our comic of the week, just had it, and she's all boosted and vaxxed. Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
So she had the
And-
second Omicron, right?
Yeah, she must have had one of the offshoots. She also had cancer last year.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So she had cancer a year ago, and then she had COVID a month ago after being boosted and everything. So
Dang it. That's a lot. Hope she's not
It's a-
pregnant now too.
no, she had to have a hysterectomy.
Oh,
and she-
really?
and-
Yeah, I
yeah,
just
and-
had that as a
yes,
joke. Like,
guys.
that would be the third worst thing that would happen to you.
She
Your
well,
COVID
she does a joke about how big the tumor was, because it was, I think, ovarian.
Fuck.
And
at her age?
yeah, very young. And
Shit.
so she had to have full hysterectomy. She said it was scary, but it wasn't as scary as what she thought the 8-pound tumor was, which was a baby. It was a very funny line.
There were another
Jessica Grant, you guys.
another comic stopped by, a female comic, but I don't know if this is public knowledge, but she also under 30 had just recovered from colon cancer.
Wow.
What's happening?
The planet.
This doesn't happen until you're older, ladies.
Right.
Dang
It's
it.
true. Yeah. So I'm going to Ann Arbor unless for some reason this turns out to be something else, but I
Right.
assume I can go to Ann Arbor.
Do you feel
And-
it in decline, this rash?
I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
It might be. It might be fading. It'd be great if it were fading.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what said that the prednisone would do. And it's itchy, but it's not ridiculously itchy. Like I haven't scratched any of them open
Yeah.
like a baby.
Yeah.
And those little gloves you got to get for babies,
Yeah.
so they don't scratch
Yeah.
themselves.
Sure.
So I'm going to Ann Arbor, and then I'm going home, and my great aunt is in the hospital, and it's but she's 95, so she may pass away.
Is that
in the
your
next couple of days.
dad's?
Our first cousin she's always been. She was
Is
my
she Armenian? Is she what?
Yeah,
Was she in the,
she's Armenian.
Was she
Yeah.
part of the genocide?
No, she's actually my great aunt's daughter. So she's like a cousin. I think of her
Okay.
as my Aunt Alice. So,
Okay.
but she's
Yeah.
like first cousin once removed or some damn thing. But she's 95, and
Oh yeah, that wouldn't work timing wise. Yeah. Okay.
but my brother was like, if she dies tomorrow, the funeral is on Saturday, and I was like, I have 2 shows in Ann Arbor on Saturday, and I'm coming to Milwaukee on Sunday.
Can people have their funerals on Sunday or Monday? You know,
I
I
don't-
mean, my
I-
dad's funeral got bumped to a Monday, but it turned out to be, well, it was actually inconvenient for everyone because they had already bought plane tickets for the Sunday.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, Saturday funeral, come on, man, people work.
No, I think but not. We're the only ones who are working on Saturday. So
When I say people,
I'm
I mean
coming on.
comedians.
Yeah, you mean again, you're saying we're people. Good for you. And so yeah, I would say, but I am gonna go Sunday, and then he wants me to come back for this Armenian church thing for my mom in June. And June is a mess. I need someone. Hey Kyle, let's do this right now. Let's put you on the spot.
Okay.
If I needed you to house and dog sit for me in June, could you do it?
Probably.
There would be obviously an exchange of monies.
The last
And,
time I wanted to, it was just you wanted me to do it over Christmas. My family were bummed about that.
Oh yeah,
But-
yeah, it would have
But
been
this
Christmas
time I got
week.
nothing during June, so yeah, I could probably do
Yeah,
that.
it would be because we're going to a wedding.
Ooh.
So here's what I've got. We're going to go visit Joe Wilson, who was one of the founders of the Dork Forest, who has pancreatic cancer. Him and his wife Kathy.
Is this really a podcast right now?
No, this
Okay.
is just us having a conversation. Feel free to hit that button. Skip ahead. It's a real clock eater.
Really?
And
did.
then
Go ahead.
and
Did
but
we
the
take a
point of
second
it.
break?
Oh, there we go. Let's take
Just
a
fast
second.
forward to Sarah Schaefer's podcast. There's no need to keep listening to this one.
So the point being about all of this whole thing, that was the break. So the point being for this whole thing is that I have 2 nights in Boston, 2 or 3 nights in Boston, where I have to kill time before I read the tour with Brian Regan
Mhm.
on the East Coast in June. And we're coming back. So Andy will fly back from this wedding. We're going to go visit Joe. Then we're going to go to this wedding. Then we're going to end up in Boston. Andy's going to fly home. I have 2 or 3 more days in Boston. And then I'm going to either Medford, Massachusetts, or somewhere in New Jersey or somewhere in New Hampshire. The 3 nights I'm working with Brian. And
pop over to Laugh Boston, right?
yeah, there has to be. There's the Hideaway, but I don't know if they have stuff on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they've got early week stuff.
There's some,
but I can only hope.
Yeah, some Boston comic can hook you up with stuff that's happening, right?
Yeah, maybe. And I, maybe I could do the Freedom Trail. Maybe I can go see stuff.
Oh, that's when my son tore his meniscus as we were walking around
he tore his meniscus on that tour.
He'd already torn his ACL, but it wasn't hurting, and he was going to have surgery later on. And I'm like, I got a week in Boston. You're coming with me. We're going to see some of American history.
Yep.
And on a tour, right outside of a church, like a really famous church, he started going, oh, my knee really hurts. And I'm like, I'm going into old coaching mode. Well, you know what? Let's just, be strong. And then it turned out he tore his meniscus, and we had to take
what a drag.
And then he was on the bed for the rest of the tour. It was pretty awful.
Yeah, poor bastard.
That is actually
not okay. Not okay to say. Pejorative. So sorry. Poor kiddo. How about that? Poor young man.
Yeah.
And there you go. But the so but that's that's my plan. Yeah.
Okay, so I left on Wednesday, and I guess I told his dad that this week was a Thursday through Saturday, right?
Oops. Yeah.
So Wednesday I FaceTimed my son, and I'm like, is your dad there yet? And he's like, no. And then I get off stage, and it's like 10:30, and he's like, I'm still up. Dad's not home. Dad's not here. And so then I texted his dad, and he's like, no, you said it was Thursday. So I just stayed with my kid on FaceTime till around, I don't know, 11:30 or midnight, till his dad showed up.
Oh, so he just came by early, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So that was, it's weird. Like, you would think, like, in the olden days, 15-year-old, no problem, alone. But I don't know. It's not the olden days anymore. Like,
no, and every person is different.
Yeah.
And he is actually a pretty social kid with you and his dad. Like, he likes hanging out with you.
Yeah.
And it's not that he doesn't have friends and a life.
But apparently, like, all the lights were on, and he was like, while we were FaceTiming, he's like, did you hear that? What is that? Like, we were being surrounded by monsters and psychopaths. And you know what? This was a neighborhood that I think the Night Stalker was stalking for a little while. So it's always possible, but I didn't mention that. And good call. You have the most important thing. You have a pit bull right next to you. And
you have a very strong little doggo, and you have a fist of a dog that will that will protect you. And he's not alone when he's got Charmy with him.
Yeah.
So that's the good news.
But yeah. So I don't know. I'm just plugging. Come to the May 7th. Go onto my website at killmartin.com. You can get the tickets there, or you go to Rush Tix's site and get tickets for the May 7th show. It's like, I think it's a 5 p.m. show, a 5 or 6 p.m. show. So it's not too late for the East Coast people. And if you're, on another continent, it could be like a breakfast show or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah. I think I'm going to Austin. So I'm going to Ann Arbor this weekend, and then I'm going to Austin, I guess, right away. Is that what I'm doing? No.
Oh, for Moon Tower. Right.
Yeah, I might be home. Yeah. So I come back. I don't know. Yeah, I come back for a couple of days, and then I go to Moon Tower on the 20th. And I'm doing a live dork forest. It should be fun. It's with Chris Cubis and Guy Branum and Deb DiGiovanni.
That's great.
It's a murderer's row of nerds. And really looking forward to that. I'm going to get to see my friend Anna, and I'm going to get to go to Austin, and I like Austin.
My only regret about this Toronto tour is I can't go to Austin.
Right. right?
You know, they
And
have to happen at the same time. They're both run by JFL. Come on, man. You guys split that shit up a little bit so I can do
right, right. Figure it out, you guys. You know when your dates are. Why don't yeah.
both.
So yeah, so yours is May 7th. I just picked up the Omaha Funny Bone, the 6th and 7th. I've never played the
Oh,
Omaha
I
Funny
did
Bone.
like when as a feature in the 90s. Does Colleen Quinn still run it?
Yep,
What the fuck?
yep. And then the week after
Wow.
that, I'm going back to Seattle, 13, 14, for some comedy festival.
Oh,
And then
cool.
the May 21st, I'm in Houston for a comedy festival. So I have 3 weeks booked in May.
Wow. Well, I'm never working again. And so